Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit Ace Ventura, the 1994 comedy starring Jim Carrey. So, call plumbing immediately. We're about to begin the show.
Oh, hey everyone. Welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
This is Brian.
And we are revisiting Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Oh, that's right, the full title. Sorry.
Yeah. Brian, I expect more from you.
Not only that, I also said it wrong. I should have said have your plumbing checked immediately.
Oh, that would have been good.
That's better. That was the whole quote.
Rewind.
That's the quote.
Yeah. Anyways, so we are revisiting this 1994 comedy. It's billed on I guess Google as comedy/mystery.
Oh my god.
That's so funny.
I just snorted.
So Brian, I'm dying to find out. So what is your then?
Thank you. So then, we begin as we always do, talking about then, 1994. So I saw this in a theater, not one to brag, but I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see it. It was one of those things where it was like a gaggle of people. We go and it was Ace Ventura. And I was like, it's not my kind of movie. It's, I don't know. I already feel like I've seen it. Like, you know, I already feel like I know what I'm going to exactly say.
Yes.
And I went to see it, and I laughed my dumb ass off. In 1994, I bought the VHS. Actually, it's not true. I won the VHS tape. Remember at Jordan's, they did the Mom Olympics?
Yes!
And you used the mom dollars?
Yes!
That was one of the things I got with my mom dollars.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. But anyway, so Ace Ventura, and I watched that DVD, and I really, really loved it. Funny, though, because I know there's a part 2 that came out, 2 years later, or a year later.
Yes.
And I didn't rush to see it. So I feel like it sort of served a purpose of, just dumb comedy.
Yeah.
That hit me at the right time. And but in an audience, in a movie theater, I was laughing. How about you?
I could see it being funnier in a movie theater.
Whoa.
For sure. Because it is that type of comedy. It's, if you're sitting alone watching it, you're like, oh.
I think we'll get to that, won't we?
I think we will. So my history with Ace Ventura, it was definitely a rental. And again, not my kind of comedy. Not something that I would really be interested in seeing. I don't remember who I was with. I'm guessing it was some sort of ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
Is my guess. But I remember liking it. Surprisingly liking it. And maybe it was because going into it, I had more of a negative, I don't really want to watch it.
Yeah.
So it was sort of surprising. I thought it was funny. Not funny enough that I wanted to watch it again. But I was surprised at how funny I thought it was at the time. Jim Carrey isn't one of my favorite actors.
Okay.
Which is probably one of the reasons why I didn't really want to watch it in the first place. But I found him to be funny in small doses in this movie. But yeah, I liked it. I remember when we were talking about revisiting it, I was thinking, oh, that might be a fun movie to watch. Maybe Emily would like it and that sort of thing. But yeah, I never watched it since then.
Yeah. But then, so now we can jump into now. When
Sure.
did you rewatch it?
I rewatched it last night.
Oh!
And we were just talking about this before, behind the scenes, we were talking about how we like to watch these movies and then have a few days to digest it.
Yeah.
This could have been one of those movies that I probably should have digested it a little bit
So
more.
basically we're watching you digest it right now.
You know it. You know it. Enjoy.
Which feels appropriate for Ace
Ventura. It sure does. It sure does. So, yeah, I watched it last night and I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, be honest. This is why we're here.
To me, it was a long 90 minutes of watching this movie. It was a long 90 minutes. About 10 minutes in, I was pretty much done. I'm like, oh.
What?
I didn't mind the first scene with the box. I thought was funny. But I think it was just because he was just so weird.
Yeah.
And so obnoxious.
And right away.
Immediately.
Nuts. And I wrote, he's nuts right away. That's my first note.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And he never lets up.
Yeah.
So there's no break from Jim Carrey in this at all. And I was thinking about, like, if Robin Williams were Ace Ventura, he would have been funny in the funny parts, but I think with Robin Williams, we'd get a little bit of a break.
Do you really feel that?
Yeah, in a 90-minute movie, yeah. I do. I really do. I feel like there were times where he's on, but then he's like he has the voices. He goes up and down, up and down, up and down. With Jim Carrey, he was up
the entire time.
The entire time.
Yeah.
So that was my initial thoughts. What about you? What was your feeling since you loved it so much the first time? What are you thinking?
It's funny. I have the very similar notes to you about the beginning. He is nuts right away is my first note. My very first note is he's so young.
Oh my gosh, so
he's a kid. He's a kid in this. And I forgot about the Alllllrighty then.
And that's the beginning of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I forgot about that too.
I forgot about that. The other thing is it's a note that I actually went back and added into my earlier notes. It's like, I think, I could be wrong, and I want your input on this. Do you think it would have been more tolerable if the other characters found him funny? See, that's what I struggled with.
Yeah.
Because like, as an audience member, I'm like, oh my God, he's so crazy. Like, on rewatch in particular, I'm like, oh my God, he is a lot. He's so nuts. But his no one finds him amusing. No one. They're completely annoyed by him. And except maybe the Tone Loc character, because he is successful at what he does, but his tactics and his personality are a lot, but he still gets results. But my feeling was like, I wonder how this movie, on rewatch anyway, I certainly wasn't thinking this in 94, but if some of the characters found him funny, would it have been less, like, what's the word, unctuous? Like, would it have been less?
Yeah, I think it would have. Yeah. In fact, part of it I found annoying as a viewer. A lot of people didn't even react to some of this stuff.
I agree.
In some scenes, clearly they were directed to react to what he's doing.
Yes.
Like when he comes out of the bathroom and things like that. That's fine. But there were other times where he's doing these crazy things and no one around is even paying attention to what he's doing. And I found that to be odd.
Well, but I'm going to jump on that with a very similar note. Like, one of the least funny scenes for me, well, actually, there's a few, but one of my least favorite ones was like, because it just felt like a shtick. Like, I was like, I hate when I feel like I'm trapped in a shtick, because it's like you're slowing the plot down.
Yes.
Was when he's in the tank, the empty tank, where the dolphin was kidnapped.
Yes.
And he's doing like Star Trek impersonations for so long. That, I swear to God, it felt like 20 minutes. Do you remember?
Yes,
okay,
I absolutely remember. And that's one of my notes for Jim Carrey, for this character. These shtick things went on for too long. Every single thing they did, it was too long.
I will add to that I want to get back to the Star Trek stuff, because that was my point. It was tying into yours, where if this is part of the pet detective's process, meaning for some reason he has to go through this stream of consciousness shtickiness, right? Then people would step back and let him do his thing. And that happens in one scene in the apartment with the screaming and the sliding door. I actually like that scene. But I
actually liked also.
I wish there was just something where I wish there was a better marriage, exactly what you're saying, in a slightly different way, where he's so nuts, but it's part of his process. So either one or two things. Like you're saying, like either you react to his buffoonery, or what if it's the opposite? What if people took him very seriously?
Yeah,
but it's neither.
Neither one. It's
they're in a different movie.
Yeah, it's neutral. There's no reaction whatsoever.
That's exactly the word, reaction. There's no reaction to Ace. So it's like, as a viewer, as a middle-aged viewer, I watch this going, does he actually have mental issues? Is this part of his process?
It's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say that. And I like the phrase that you said, as a middle-aged person watching this, because, so I watched it last night, and I said, Emily, do you want to watch this with me? And I kind of forced her to, because we haven't, Did
you remember the ending, though?
I didn't remember hardly any of it, to be honest. Honestly, it was like, oh my God. And it's PG-13, which I had to check several times throughout this movie because Emily was sitting next to me. And to be honest, like, she wasn't that into it. She was baking while it was going on, so she was watching some of it. I think she was a little bit interested in it. But let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Going back to your phrase
mental
that you
health.
just said.
Yeah.
As a 50, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you said as a middle-aged
person,
you thought maybe there was something wrong with them. I have some notes for this movie.
Okay.
Most of these notes, or at least some of these notes, I have Emily quotes.
Oh.
Mom, is there something wrong with him?
Oh!
This was 5 minutes into the movie. Further down, Mommy, I'm seriously concerned for him. A little further down, he is really not okay. Like this, and then he's, oh, yeah, it was near the end when he found out that when he put it together, she goes, he is not okay. He is literally throwing up because he kissed a man.
Yeah.
She was serious. Like, she was concerned about this character, that there was some sort of mental illness going on.
Yeah.
So it's not just a middle-aged lens.
That's a good point.
This is a 13-year-old watching this movie thinking, what the hell is wrong with this person? Like, there's something wrong with him. She was concerned.
Yeah. That's a really good point, because I'm trying to think, are there any, like, current sort of comedic actors like that are just zany for the sake of zany, where it's like you drop them into ordinary situations. But I think this movie, you know what it is? It could have been stronger. He's so committed. And
and I know the director was like, okay, just do your thing.
1,000%. Do you know who was? Can I tell you this? Who the original casting? Oh my God.
Oh God.
They offered it to Rick Moranis. He turned it down. Other consideration. Okay, it gets more interesting. This was going to be a different kind of movie, I think, because the other contenders, Alan Rickman.
Oh my God.
Whoopi Goldberg. But by the way, just as a 80s, 90s fun fact, Whoopi was up for everything. Yeah. They would constantly, like, Jumping Jack Flash was originally written for Burt Reynolds. And Sister Act was originally written for Bette Midler.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's like, but Whoopi was always like, I mean, she's Whoopi Goldberg, for God's sake. She's always up for everything. And movies would often be very open to changing the gender of the main character to accommodate Whoopi.
Interesting.
Yeah. But then Judd Nelson. Nelson. So I'm like, what was the original thought for this?
Just imagine. I'm stuck on Alan Rickman. Imagine Alan Rickman in this movie.
I mean, I think
he would have been awesome.
I think so too.
I think it would have been a way better movie.
Because I do have some positives about this movie. Okay. I actually like the mystery. Mm-hmm. I like this. I mean, like the shame. I like when he goes to the house with the parents. Yeah. And the parents are so amazing. Like when they're fighting over the shotgun on the porch, and Ace's face is like contorting, like you know. And then he goes into the bedroom. She's like, I haven't touched it since he left. And it's like, die, Dan, die. And it's like there's like blood on the walls, and
those moments were funny. I agree. There were some redeeming qualities. Really funny.
But that's not Ace related.
That is not Ace related.
That's not Ace related.
Some of those things were hilarious. The parents were great. The room, I did chuckle when they opened. I busted out laughing probably when they opened up the door, and it's just crazy all over. But yeah, so I just think him as a character was just too much.
Yeah.
And if Alan Rickman was in it, it would have been a totally different movie.
Yeah. Well, I think they would have played it with much more like sort of like Naked Gun style, I would think, right? Because he would be like very quirky odds in a very serious sort of setting.
Yes.
And I think that's the other part too, because it's like I actually think Sean Young is great in this. I don't know if I'm crazy. I think she's really good. I think, like, I just wish someone, the director... By the way, this movie has, like, 7 writers. I didn't even write all the names down. So there's 3. There's Tom Shadyac, who's the director. But then there's, like, Jim Carrey, Jack Bernstein. But then there's 4 uncredited writers that I looked at. And it's like, I'm not writing all the names down. But, which is to say, I wish someone took a step back and say, is he... a ridiculous character in a serious world, or what are we doing here? Because I like that the parents were totally bizarre. Oh, and also the Sean Young character, is she a sergeant?
Oh yeah, I was meant to write that down too.
But did you see what's on her desk?
No.
Oh. Definitely didn't notice this in all the times I watched, but because I know the twist.
Right.
Like, on her desk sits proudly 2 apples and a banana that are truly positioned like a dick and balls. And it's right there. And it's right there. And it's like, I've never noticed that before.
Isn't that funny?
It's so funny.
Yeah, and I agree. I liked her a lot in it, too. The only scene I had trouble with her was the last scene. And it was a director thing. It wasn't her. Oh. Because he's revealing all these things. Oh, her mask, and doesn't... Obviously, it's not gonna, and then he rips her shirt off and her pants or whatever, and she just she's standing there.
It's
like
so
not,
humiliating.
It's almost
she's
like
not even reacting.
She has nothing. Like there was no direction for her.
It's awful. Because I remember. So '94, I was like, it didn't strike me. But now being older, I'm telling you, this did not survive a middle-aged lens at all.
No,
because first of all, Emily's right. Like he's puking. I mean. There's a Family Guy episode. Did you watch Family Guy at all, ever?
I have.
Yeah, in the past. So I haven't watched it in a long time, but I remember at one point Peter gets a prostate exam. So he gets a couple fingers or, up his bum. In the entire episode, he's like shivering and shaking and he feels like he's been violated and he takes a shower in scalding hot water and scrubs himself, right? And at one point, Lois, so he sits down and he's like in a robe and he's like shaking and crying. And he's like, Lois, and she's like, you're a fucking idiot. And like they start fucking. Oh
my God.
But here's the thing about that. When they start the crying game music, I started laughing. Yeah. I did. And I remembered it. I remembered the twist right off the bat and all that. And whenever he's like, oh, your gun is poking me and all that business. The thing is, I feel very, very differently about 2 scenes. That when he's all freaking out and crying and screaming and he's like doing the plunger in his mouth to pull the kiss.
Dumb.
But here's the thing. I did laugh because it was so stupid and ridiculous. But here's the thing. It's like, he is acting that way because like a man kissed him. I would actually say she sexually assaulted him. She pushed him on the desk and she forced herself on him. And... So it's like, but it's completely over the top. He's showering. Why is he showering? It makes no sense at all.
Right.
So, but I was like, you know what? I can be there for that because Ace is stupid. Like, why am I expecting a sane reaction from Ace Ventura? We know he's an idiot. Okay, that's my reasoning there. What I hated is at the end. She's staying there. There's no reason she has to stand there. It's very awkward.
It's very awkward.
He is stripping her clothes. And by the way, it doesn't even matter if it was a hunch, right, that he had. So but either way, it's wrong.
Right.
He's ripping off a woman's clothing in front of everyone. Then it's revealed by turning her around that she is trans. And everyone... And I think they're supposed to be puking, but they're not. They're spitting. Like they're spitting up.
Yeah, it's weird.
And it's so weird.
All of it is very,
and
very
it's so
upsetting.
Transphobic. It is homophobic. It is not aged well. It is disgusting. Sean Young, I actually felt bad for her. Like, I felt bad for the actress.
Yeah.
Like...
There was a lot wrong with that last
So much
part.
was wrong. And Emily's right. Like, it's like, really? But, again, 2022... Like, I mean, 1994, it's like just a stupid-ass comedy with a really bizarre plot twist and the whole thing. But it's really in poor taste. And it's so...
Very
and
poor taste.
If you're ever not sure what transphobia is or homophobia is, this is it on screen in a PG-13 movie.
I literally had to keep looking and seeing, PG-13? Really? PG-13? there's another scene, too, when he's looking for the ring. And I actually really enjoyed when he was trying to find the missing diamond out of the ring.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that whole, like, montage. I thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the, you know, looking at the guy's ring in the bathroom stall.
Oh, right.
And I thought it was funny. Oh, I've just realized I forgot to wear my wedding rings today. Oops.
Christina.
I took them off the other day when I was doing my puzzle. It was just, I don't know, they were annoying me for
My
some reason.
puzzle?
They were strangling me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I feel bad now. I know where they are, though. Anyway, so he's looking for the ring. And he's in the bathroom, and he looks over in the stall to look at the ring, and the guy thinks he's looking at his penis or whatever. And he winks at him, which I think should have ended there.
I agree.
Right?
Instead,
he leaves, and he goes, like, the guy's
skipping,
prancing.
With his hands,
like,
tipped gay.
It was just, like, I was more bothered by that.
Good, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, I was more bothered by that than even when he overreacted to the kissing. Because the overreacting to the kissing, yes, of course, it's wrong and all that. But you could almost construe it as they're making fun of it because it's so ridiculous to make. You know what I mean? They're, like, making fun of it because it's so ridiculous to make fun of it.
And because it's Ace. Now they're bringing in this character who has no lines. He's just like this guy. He's probably an NFL guy, I'm guessing. Yeah. And now they're making him not only gay, but they're having him skip and prance after Ace.
Yeah, it was just really...
Because he looked at his penis.
Throughout this whole movie, it was very, very bad.
It was so bad.
And everything was like so many sexual things that within the first 5 minutes, the woman with the big boobs... basically is like...
When he's holding onto the ceiling.
Yeah, it's like basically a simulated blowjob is what it was. Emily looked at me. She's like, what rate is this? I'm like, I'm so sorry, honey. I think it's PG-13. And it was over. It was like embarrassed. I'm like, this is like over the top.
Yeah, well, he's like, people are really friendly in this neighborhood. Well, then the other thing was Courtney Cox and him in bed. And it's and the animals are watching, and it's, oh my God.
Yeah. That was the other thing, too. I said, I'm like, because she's like, I don't think this should be a PG-13. Like, she was more commentary on it than even really.
We'll have to remember this when we get to our second annual Roomie Awards.
The Roomie Awards.
The worst rated, the most incorrect rating. But also, and then that Courtney Cox thing, and I mean, I hate to, and I'm not disparaging Courtney Cox by any stretch, but this could have been anyone in that role. She really didn't do anything in it, and she, the only thing I liked that she did a scream once. Ace scared her at one point, and I loved her scream. It sounded very real.
Probably was. It was probably improvised.
She had no control over him, I'm sure. But what I thought was a stretch. Oh
no! You please finish.
What I thought was a stretch was her finding him attractive or charming.
Yep. 100%. I don't know where that came from.
There was
no indication of her being attracted to him at all. And it was like, oh, what are you going to do? What should we do? And all of a sudden they're in bed. Yeah. And I'm like, when did this happen? Like, when did she ever indicate that she liked him or even he liked her?
Was it the 60s? Like,
it was the
jumping
weirdest
into
thing.
bed?
It was the weirdest
with
thing.
A stranger?
My thoughts about Courtney Cox in this, I agree. It could be anybody at all. She did not look like she was enjoying herself.
No.
The character or the actress. I feel like maybe if we did some digging, possibly, I bet Courtney Cox did not like Jim Carrey. I got that feeling that she was just annoyed. I don't think so. But I just feel like she was annoyed with him. Like, I could see her trying to do her job and him, like, fucking around all the time.
Well, I do think part of it is intentional. I think she's supposed to be annoyed by him. I laughed. I'll tell you. So I laughed at that scene where she's like, Ace, have you ever heard of Finn? And he's like, Finn? Blah, 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 blah. And he recites their entire company history. He's like, oh yeah, I heard of it. Yeah. And then I did laugh. And then she's like, Ace, I'm trying to help here. He's like, oh yeah? Why don't you cry about it? And then she's like, you're crazy. He's like, yeah, and you're ugly. She's like, enough. I did laugh.
That was funny.
Because, here's why, because it goes back to what we were saying. She's acknowledging he's nuts.
Yes.
And that's what makes it funny.
And she said something like, you don't know how to, you don't know how to express your emotions. So she's like, yeah, you're ugly.
And that's because it's a reaction to Ace's craziness. Like, and this is what we're talking about.
Yes.
The whole first part of this episode is like, the people are just like, they're not even really like responding. They're not laughing. They're not. It's just so odd.
Yeah.
I did like the line about it's Udo Kier, and you know he's at the Udo Kier's party, and he goes to the bathroom. It's that whole sprawling sequence, right, with the shark or whatever, and it's like, and he's like, I'll have the plumbing checked immediately, and he's like, please do. If I'd been drinking out of the toilet, I might have been killed. Yeah. I did laugh, and it's like stupid.
Stupid, yeah. What I liked when they were visiting, when he was trying to look for Ray Finkle, and the parents, you know, they answered the door with the shotgun.
Yeah, yeah.
He says, I'm looking for Ray Finkle and a clean pair of shorts.
I like that
That made me laugh. So there's a few things that made me laugh. It was just too much. Too much of him. Too much improvised, I think.
Let's see. Yeah, so it didn't age well. I did like a lot of the pop culture, like the movie references, like Poltergeist, Mission Impossible, like I said, The Crying Game. Mm-hmm. I did appreciate the detective story cliches. I like the two different photos. Like, where's the other photo? This isn't the photo that I saw.
Yes.
And again, the childhood scene, that going to the childhood room is great.
That was hilarious. That really was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else I have. I don't have too many other things. There's that line, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer. Yeah. I did laugh at, and it's so stupid. Courtney Cox is on the phone, and she's like, Ace? And he's just there, like, giggling. He's like, I'm here. And, like, he's just playing a joke on her. Yeah. It's like, oh, my God. But, again, it's, like, the back and forth that is acknowledging how bizarre he is.
Yes.
But holy shit. Painful. I mean, the Star Trek stuff is painful in the tank, and the other thing.
How about when? Oh, go ahead.
The mental health facility.
Oh, I was just going to say that the mental.
How long was that? That could have been 45 minutes.
Oh,
it went on forever.
Gosh, it was forever, and most of it is because he's standing there like pretending to be him. He has a tutu on. He's trying to, like, honestly, it would have been a better scene if he just walked in as himself, and then they were like, "Oh, we should probably take him. Yeah, let's have a conversation about him." And then they're like, "Oh, good, I'll look while you guys have a conversation." And then it acknowledges that he is unstable.
Absolutely, Christina. Actually, it's a really good point. Yeah. What if he was being interviewed by this guy? So Jim Carrey's sitting in a chair, and he's like just being himself, and the guy's like, "Oh man, he's really bad." Well, Courtney Cox goes snooping around,
right?
I completely agree. Yeah. That would have been funnier, and that would have felt more deliberate.
Yes.
Versus what you have instead is Courtney Cox trying to get through her dialogue while Jim Carrey's in the background jumping around, and it's like, this is just annoying. It's not.
It would have been a stronger connection between Courtney Cox and Jim Carrey's characters. It would have been. If she's helping with the investigation in that way. It would have been a better connection. It would have, but they would even have something in common.
Yeah, and if they could work together to do something, they're always working against each other. It's really not. It's not good. The other thing, though, it reminded me of Basic Instinct. All the driving. There's so much driving, but I appreciated the dilapidated car. It was consistent.
I have that down as a note too. I'm glad that they kept the car windshield smashed the whole time. That was quite funny. You know, like Dan Marino has his you know, like making everybody else put their heads out the window. Yeah. I liked that part of it, but yeah, you're right. So much driving.
And by the way, is this movie even 90 minutes? Like, I kept feeling that's
it's an hour and 26 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's like
so it was about an hour and 15 minutes too long.
Well, I think for me, like, me, it seemed like there was a lot of dead air in this, like, all of his sticky, like the extended stickiness. Yeah, I just felt like this could have been even shorter.
Yeah, I have her know. Everything he does is to...
What else have you got?
We should talk about what we're going to put on Patreon this week.
Exciting.
It's so fun, and, you know, I don't know how... I know some of us know, like some of the listeners know about our pets, but not everybody. So I have a dog and a cat, and you have a cat. And so we are going to basically write up little bios about our little pets.
With pictures.
Pictures and, like, fun facts and maybe, just...
And we want to see yours, too.
Yes.
So share yours on Patreon.
So, yes, I think that would be super fun to see what... Just send us pictures or just...
Or even oldroommatespod@gmail.com or on Patreon, whatever,
Facebook, Instagram, you know us. We're everywhere.
Let's see pets.
So look forward to that. Check it out. It's really fun. Patreon.com/oldroommates. I don't know if I have much else. Let me just look through it. It was funny with the Alllllrighty then, though. I'm like, oh, wow, is that what that started? That was kind of funny. The talking ass. Do we want to talk about that?
Another shtick.
Oh, another shtick that went on way too long.
Also, and that's the thing, too, it's like, Tone Loc's character, it's like, you realize his ass is in your face. Like, who would allow that?
Is it fun? And is it even funny? It's not funny.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
I don't understand.
I don't understand either.
But again, but to an earlier point, in the very beginning, you said, probably a movie you'd have to see with an audience. Because I didn't laugh. I laughed a couple times at this,
if you're in a big movie theater and people are laughing at some of these things, I think that's contagious.
Even if you had people aren't having house parties these days, but even if you had a bunch of people and just had it on in the background, you could catch a moment and laugh because you're in a group. But I was by myself, sitting there,
held
on
hostage,
a cold winter day,
alone,
and just and I laughed a few times, but very little of it was at Ace.
Yeah. But I did like Sean Young,
She was great in this.
I thought she was really good in it too. I was happy to see her. I forgot she was in it, so I was happy to see her.
So Christina, at the end of the day, for you it was yesterday. Did you like this more, less, or about the same?
I would absolutely say less. I found a lot of humor in it the first time. Mm-hmm. And I didn't find as much. I mean, a couple of little parts, but I just did not find him amusing at all this time around.
And I have to say, less for me as well.
Yeah. Alllllrighty then.
But I do have a match game.
Okay, very good.
Oh, nice. Little bits of trivia. The budget for this, $15 million.
Okay.
Box office, $107 million.
Yeah, this was a huge hit.
By the way, it also spawned an animated series that was on for 3 seasons from 1995.
I think I remember that. I didn't watch it. And the sequel, you mentioned the sequel. What's so funny about that is I remember the sequel getting completely panned.
But I think it did. I think it did really well at the box. I think it made more than this one.
Probably.
Yeah. Funny. So we mentioned VHS tapes on this, but we often don't have we don't do the research of how many they sold. Ace Ventura was, when it hit VHS, it sold 4.5 million copies in the first 4 weeks in the first month. That's over 1 million copies a week.
That's crazy.
4.5 million copies.
Wow.
Really quick, just as a timestamp for Jim Carrey, 1994 of this movie, it went Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. And the reason, I think his big burst was obviously in Living Color, but this was, I believe, his first big leading moment since in Living Color, because he was also in Once Bitten in 1985. I actually really liked him in that. I like that movie, and he was also in Peggy Sue Got Married.
Oh, that's right. Right.
But but that's really all my notes, and the next have a match game.
I have a match game also.
Who wants to go first?
I don't care. I'll go first. I guess I do care. All right then. It's so funny how often you hear that phrase still. I forgot it was from that. It's crazy. Okay. Are you ready?
Just queuing up the music.
It's not my strongest question.
I have a bad one too, but it's Ace Ventura.
It is. Yeah. It should be a little bit bad, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, Brian.
Yeah.
We talked about Ace using his butt to talk. If you thought using his butt to talk was obnoxious, you should meet his brother. He uses his butt to blank. That's right. His brother uses his butt to blank.
Ding.
All All right, Brian. Ace Ventura is obnoxious. He uses his butt to talk, but his brother uses his butt to
eat.
I did.
Yay!
Yay! It's a match.
All right.
Ding, ding, ding.
Are you ready for mine?
Yes.
One moment, please. Well, Christina, Ace just got assigned to his next case. Sorry, his toughest case.
Ooh,
this is serious. This is serious.
Sounds serious.
Ace Ventura has to find a bear that is being held captive in a blank factory.
A bear being held captive in a blank factory.
He has to find a bear in a blank factory. He has to find a bear in a blank factory.
All right. Let's try this.
You see, if I was Gene Rayburn, I would be like already making fun of you. Like, well, Christina, you're a woman, so maybe.
Maybe you don't understand factories.
Let me say it slower. All right, Christina. Ace's toughest case. He has to find a bear in a blank factory.
A fur coat.
Yes, fur coat.
Oh my God, Brian!
We both matched.
Did we? Has that ever happened? We both matched on both questions?
We have never both matched. And my second tier was but it's not in the box, so it doesn't count. Teddy bear.
Oh, that would be cute. Or stuffed animal or anything like that. Yeah, that would be really cute.
Oh my gosh, good times.
And that's it for us in this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And please give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you're interested in more Old Roommates, including special episodes, bonus content, movie recommendations, and more, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/oldroommates. Comments and ideas can be emailed to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Old Roommates.
Thanks again for listening. This is Christina.
And this is Brian. Until next time.